Square. What are you doing? Are you sure you're really going to be able to do a full multi-platform push for all your games going forward? Like, are you sure you're able to? Because even if you say you want to, and trust me when I say it is a good move to do, you need to have, and I've been saying this for a long time now, you need to have a dedicated PC team that can work alongside your development teams to get games ready to go on to Steam/the PC platform. Because if the sales of Final Fantasy XVI are anything to go by, it's not looking good, and you technically haven't even started your push to go full multi-platform. If you guys haven't heard the news, Final Fantasy XVI released back on PC in September of 2024. And as of this current reporting right here that you see in front of you for November 13th, 2024, Final Fantasy XVI extremely underperformed on PC, sold only 289,000 units since launch. Now, to some people, 289,000 units could be impressive depending on who you are. Not to mention the fact that this obviously sold a lot on PlayStation because it was a timed exclusive. And then they announced that it was going to be on PC, but it wasn't released in a decent time frame, I would say. I mean, it was announced and it took over a year and a half to finally come out. We kept hearing about it all the time. We heard about it at multiple Tokyo Game Shows. We heard about it at random comments on Twitter and online and everything. But we just where is it? And then it finally released in September. But I think the problem when it released is it literally released a week alongside another big game like God of War on PC, which I guess did decently well, even though it's a 2-year-old game at this point on PC. And just the fact that the Final Fantasy name itself does not carry the same weight that it did all those years ago. We've been saying this for a long time now. And Final Fantasy 16 is a big departure in terms of the gameplay side of things that a lot of old school Final Fantasy fans are not particularly fond of. I mean, at least if you believe the stuff that's online. It obviously sold very well actually on PlayStation, but PC doesn't seem to hit those numbers as of right now. In fact, if we go over to the Steam charts for the game itself, it was sitting okay at launch and everything, but overall, it's only hit 27,500 all-time peak of 2 months. Not the greatest, and unfortunately this comes with the territory of, it did not release at the exact same time as the PlayStation version did, and so kind of the hype and all that stuff has died down, and especially when your PC port has taken so long to get going, a lot of people are just gonna kind of forget about it, unfortunately. Even if they're excited about the game and everything, it took them a long time. And look, I get it. I know that PC ports can take a long time, and especially with a game like this that didn't particularly run the greatest on PlayStation, and now you got to try to put it onto however many configurations there are for PC builders and how people build their PCs and everything like that. But it still took quite a long time. And when we see things like we did last year where they're like, okay, we're going to be doing this big multi-platform push a la Capcom essentially, you've got to make sure that your big games can go onto PC day one. You're not going to be able to do okay, we're going to release it on PlayStation or Switch, and then a year and a half later, we'll finally release it on PC. There's our multi-platform push. No. If you want to make this a true multi-platform push, you need to have this game ready on PlayStation, on PC, and we're assuming the Switch 2 will be able to handle your games going forward. That's a big assumption. We don't know the specs of the Switch 2, but regardless, that's what's going to happen. And I know a lot of people might be saying, why are you forgetting Xbox? They'll probably put it onto Xbox as well, but don't expect sales to be there, because what is the reason that Square wants to put everything on the multi-platform? Money! Shocker. I know, right? Business wants to make money. But where are they going to make that money? Well, funny enough, actually, I think Switch is their biggest thing when it comes to, or just Nintendo's console platform, is where they're going to make a lot of their money. I mean, Square, as of right now, a lot of their exclusive actually go onto Switch themselves. It's just that the big fancy ones have gone over to PlayStation in the last few years. But now that they're going to be making the changes to that, we're assuming that the next game, a la, Final Fantasy XVII, whenever that eventually comes out, they're going to want to have that on PlayStation, on Switch, on Xbox, and on PC all at the same time, day one. but they need to have a team that is there getting the PC port ready, because otherwise we're going to get your crap PC ports that we've gotten from Square in the past, or it's going to take too long to get onto PC and the sales aren't going to matter. So I don't know what Square plans to do when it comes to this type of stuff, but just regardless, looking at the numbers right now, and then obviously looking over at what it is sold currently right now, I mean, and even as of right now, why this even matters is because Square Enix's shares actually plummeted another 10% on the 11th, losing hundreds of millions of dollars, which we've obviously seen Square has been losing capitalists, or all their capital and everything. It's pretty crazy. They're not at Ubisoft levels or anything like that, but still, it's keeps going down over and over. And we've been seeing that their quote unquote what they call HD games are not reaching the margins and the profits that they want. And of course, we've also said this beforehand, that you can't expect one or two games to then carry the rest of the company when they've been making stupid decisions when it comes to NFT stuff and their mobile games and their live service stuff. But Lemon, I want to ask you personally, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, as somebody who loves Final Fantasy XVI, I loved it myself too. It was a great game. It's a little different, obviously, from your typical normal Final Fantasy game, and I do wish there were a little bit more RPG elements in it. But overall, I thought the story was good. The action was a lot of fun to do and everything. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think Square needs to have some kind of dedicated PC team? Do you think they can even attempt to do a full multi-platform push a la Capcom?
So, pretty much what you were saying earlier. I mean, it should have came out day and date, if not within a couple weeks of the console console version of it. Sorry, and I think that's what hurt it, because it came out, and I kind of remember it came out, and I kind of promptly then forgot about it. When you sent this article to me, I took a look. I'm like, oh yeah, it did come out to PC. And I think that's the problem. So the hype was gone, as you said, and it just, I don't know. It was a kind of unpopular Final Fantasy. I'm kind of one of the weirdos who thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. But I think also you're looking at a marketplace that idolizes Gaben and prays to him for good deals at certain points of the year. So I think that also, I think we would see increased sales of the game once it gets into a deep discount. I mean, looking at Steam right now, it's $50. I mean, if I was going to go and I hadn't already played it, I might consider it. But at the same time, as someone who has Steam and has a bunch of games I haven't even downloaded, much less played, because of Steam sales, I'm also more likely just to wait for a Steam sale, get it down to like $20. Maybe I'll then pick it up.
Well, and it's because the Steam sale will be hitting here in the next month, give or take, at the time of this recording, right? We have the huge winter sale coming up. Now, obviously, when a winter sale comes along, you have to kind of play, not the long game, but you've got to keep an eye on whatever particular games you are looking for on sale. Not everything doesn't just simply go into a deep discount, right? Certain games go into a deep discount for the entire length of the sale. Other games are only on sale for a certain amount of time, or they'll be on a little bit of a sale. Like let's say, for example, Final Fantasy 16 is maybe $10 off. And then all of a sudden, like, let's just say the 24th of the month to the 28th of the month, it will be at that deep discount of maybe, $20 or something like that. Right. So you got to be able to keep an eye on that for anyone who's never really done a Steam sale or anything. But like you said, a lot of PC players are probably going to be waiting for that sale. So do sales numbers go up? Technically, yes, but they are making less money per copy sold on that platform, because that's just that's basic sales stuff right there. So I don't think Square is going to be particularly happy about this, especially their higher ups and everything, because again, they always have crazy expectations when it comes to their games selling. I mean, we see the headlines literally every year, it feels like, at this point. X game didn't meet expectations or anything like that, right? I mean, we saw with everything from big games to small games to medium games, you name it. It's always been the case. And Final Fantasy 16, while it sold very well on the PlayStation, especially because there was only one platform when it was still, at that time it released, hard to find PlayStation 5s, or was finally starting to pick up a little bit afterwards, it just took too long to get over to PC and everything, which I do commend them at least getting the PC version of this game running well in a variety of hardware and everything. I know it's not the best PC port or anything, but it is far from the worst. There have been some bad PC ports over the last decade, I would say, but this is nowhere near the bottom. Heck, this is nowhere near like the bad area and everything like that. So, they have a lot of stuff. Not to mention the mod community always does help out, and it seems that for the most part, everything works really well on it. again, I think just the combination of the fact that Final Fantasy does not carry the same weight in its name anymore that it used to all those years ago. You released it too late. And there are just other games that people were playing at that time. Not to mention we're in an economy right now where a lot of people don't have the free money just to spend a shit ton on games and everything like that. And hence, while they'll wait for a deep sale via the winter sale, the summer sale, or whatever, if they keep it on the wish list, and all of a sudden it notifies them on their email saying, oh, hey, by the way, this game that you want, this is now officially down to, 50, or not $50 to, $25 or something like that. So I don't think it will. I don't think, obviously, the game is light, I think, for the most part. Again, just simply due to everything we just talked about here. But the other side of it is just simply the fact that Square needs to get their act together if they want to do a big multi-platform push. Otherwise, none of this is going to change. So ignoring Final Fantasy VII, the remake project, because that is stuck behind contracts and everything with Sony and everything like that, what can they do for games going forward? Because we saw with the recent release of Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake that in terms of single player, which I don't know if I technically still believe this, I'm going to look this up as you're giving me your answer, but it is, as of right now, the best-selling single-player game on Steam. Just focusing on Steam for a moment. Keep in mind that Dragon Quest has sold on literally every platform. Xbox, Switch, PlayStation, and PC. And I think it's probably doing the best on Switch, because as of at least in Japan right now, it is actually sold out in so many stores on Switch. Not to mention we don't know digital sales or anything like that. But so that hopefully has proven to them that they need to have a game ready to go. But I would personally make the argument that while the HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest is great to have day one, making a game for a port like that compared to making a port for Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 17, whenever that comes out, those are vastly different. And so Square really needs to make sure they've got some team ready to go from the moment the next Final Fantasy game goes into huge, main production and everything. Would you agree with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a vastly bigger undertaking. I think as a whole, Square Enix kind of hobbled into this generation with what was that engine name that Forspoken was running on? Oh,
Luminous, I think.
Luminary, something. But that engine proved to be an absolute dumpster fire. It didn't work out for them. So I think they kind of stumbled into this generation a bit.
Right.
So I think they're kind of just trying to find their footing. I'm thinking the next Final Fantasy, which would be 17, which is I had to think about that one for a second. There's a lot of Final Fantasies. I think they might have a better time getting that ported everywhere, because I'm presuming they're just going to stick to Unreal like everyone else. Mm-hmm. So I think it'd just be easier for them to move the game around. I think Final Fantasy VII, they can probably port it anywhere a lot easier than maybe 16. Because I'm guessing 16 probably started as the OG engine, their own.
Was it? Yeah, wasn't. Well, yeah, like you said, 16 is on a different engine, whereas something like Final Fantasy VII, although I will say the 7 remake is not the greatest PC port, not even close. It is on UE4 at least. So porting that over is probably easier than trying to port over Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Right there. And going back to what I was saying originally about Dragon Quest and everything being their highest, PC sales and everything, or numbers, I should say, for a single player game. While Tomb Raider is not a mainline, any kind of Final Fantasy Dragon Quest game or anything like that, it was published by Square Enix. Mm-hmm. And that had 89,000 players, all-time peak, 4.7 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, and keep in mind, that game's been on deep sales in the Steam store for years and years, obviously, because it came back in 2013 and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, I hope that Square is able to look at this and be like, okay, so putting it on Steam day one is the right call, but we need a team that is there to help out, because again, if you're trying to compare something like the HD 2D remake, as great as it is, just polygon wise and textures and all that stuff, trying to make that onto something that can fit onto multiple platforms, I mean, the thing freaking runs on the Switch, for crying out loud. So putting it on a PC is not hard or anything. Whereas if you have something more complex, visually complex, like Final Fantasy 16, assuming Final Fantasy 17, and whatever else comes after that, you need to have a team ready to go during production, not after you release it on your main platform or platforms. So that needs to happen.
Exactly. Yep.
They need to do that. Otherwise, things are going to continue to be the same. Nothing's going to change. We're going to continue to see those typical article headlines of did not meet expectations. And that's it.